Let me just start it off by telling you what you already know. First, you all know what Fox TV does not know, and that is that climate change is real, and that about 97% of all peer-reviewed writers who write for scientific journals understand that. They understand that governments throughout the world recognize the reality and the dangers of global warming. The debate is over as to what has caused global warming. It is caused by human activities and carbon emissions. The debate is over about the impact of global warming. Every night we hear more about floods and droughts and forest fires and heat waves and rising sea levels and extreme weather conditions. This is what is occurring now, today, in the United States and all over the world, and what the scientists tell us. Most significantly, if we do not get our act together, if we do not reverse global warming, that situation will become worse and worse and worse. The timeline is short. We have got to act now. Interestingly enough, the debate is over in some unlikely areas. If you ask the Department of Defense, if you ask the CIA what they consider to be one of the great national security issues facing this planet, they will tell you that it is global warming. They will tell you that they fear very much what happens when you have desperate people who are fighting for arable land. And they will tell you what will happen when there is not enough water and when you see mass migrations of people. So on top of all of the other concerns, there is a real understanding that unless we address the crisis of global warming, this planet will be even more insecure, more unstable than it is today. And the debate is also over. You know, I know sometimes people say, well, if you're going to be aggressive and address climate change, global warming, it's going to cost a lot of money. Well, yeah, it is. But if we don't address it, it's going to cost a hell of a lot more. Those of you in New York City and New Jersey understand what Hurricane Sandy did to this area. Cost the taxpayers of this country $60 billion. Bill and I are from Vermont. We had Hurricane Irene. Almost $1 billion to address that issue. And there is no doubt that if we do not get our act together, we will be expending huge sums of money trying to rebuild from the destruction of global warming. Now, given the fact that I think most people in America and around the world and governments around the world understand the crisis, the planetary crisis facing us, the obvious question is, what should the United States be doing and what should other countries around the world be doing? And I think the answer is pretty simple. We have got to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel, move to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. Now, the truth is that we can, in fact, I know people get very depressed, reasonably so, about the political scene here. But the truth of the matter is, in my view, and I'm quite sure that I'm right, that if we had the political will as a nation, if we were prepared to stand up to the Koch brothers, to the big oil companies, to the coal companies, and transform our energy system, I believe that in a reasonably short period of time, we can do that. Just to give you some examples, just modest examples. We managed to get some money into Vermont to weatherize people's homes, get them off oil. With modest investments, we were able to cut people's consumption of oil by 30%. If we did that all over America, we would make significant reductions in carbon emissions, we would save people money on their fuel bills, and we could create hundreds of thousands of jobs. We have the capability now to transform our transportation system, to end the embarrassment of the United States lagging far behind Europe, Japan, even China in terms of rail. Let's invest in rail, not in roads. We have made some progress in the electrification of vehicles and in hybrids. We should and can do a lot better than that. We can have cars getting 100 miles per gallon. We can have electric cars all over this country, and we can have hybrids if we made those investments. Furthermore, we are sitting now on the enormous potential of transforming our energy system in the sense of solar. I have introduced legislation for 10 million solar rooftops. We are seeing now in California and elsewhere huge solar plants being built and being put into use, which are providing electricity for hundreds of thousands of homes. We are seeing states, I was in Iowa recently, they have a lot of wind in Iowa. We should multiply, significantly increase the amount of wind that we are using in this country. Geothermal has tremendous potential. Used properly, biomass has potential. We're making breakthroughs in terms of lighting with LEDs. We're making breakthroughs in terms of getting much more cost-effective, energy-efficient appliances as well. All of this and more is sitting out there if we invest in research and development. It is not utopian thinking to say that we can transform our energy system, that we could get rid of fossil fuel, that the United States could lead the world in helping other countries move in that direction. That's not utopian thinking. That is reality. That's what could happen, and that's what should be happening. Now, the obvious question then arises, if everybody knows that these guys up here know more about this than I do, but if all over this country millions of people sense the potential to transform our energy system, why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we doing it? Well, this I know a little bit about, because I sit in the United States Senate. So let me begin by telling you, nothing passes the United States Congress without the approval of the oil companies, corporate America, and Wall Street. And unless we address that issue, we're not going to address this issue. All of you know, 40, 50 years ago, the tobacco industry lied and lied and lied and killed millions of people, including my father. And they refused to tell the truth, and they were able to get away with spreading their poison. We know not so many years ago that the crooks on Wall Street destroyed this economy, resulting in millions of people losing their jobs, their homes, and their life savings. We know that today the food industry is wreaking havoc with the children of this country in terms of unhealthy processed food. Now, how does all of that happen? It happens because of the unbelievable greed and power of a small number of people in the billionaire class who could care less about this planet, our kids, or working people. And unbelievably, and all of you know we're in a very important campaign right now, and it is beyond belief that here we are saying that this is the planetary crisis of the time. You're hardly hearing any debate on global warming in this campaign. And if you are hearing debate, it's for those people who want the Keystone Pipeline and criticize those of us who oppose it. That's the debate. Furthermore, the reality is that you have folks like the Koch brothers who are spending hundreds of millions of dollars electing candidates from one end of the country to the other, who not only will go to war against working people, these candidates are not allowed to even acknowledge the reality of climate change. Now, we could have a debate, what is the best way forward? It's a good debate. But the time is long overdue for people not to be ignoring the reality. We have a major political party in Washington that refuses even to acknowledge the reality of climate change. So what do? The answer to this problem, the answer to the reason why we are the only nation on earth, major nation, not to have a national health care program, the reason why we have more wealth and income inequality in this country than any time since 1929, the reason that we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth, it all comes back to one reality. You got a small number of people with enormous economic and political power, and they want more and more and more. And the only way that I know that we stop them is when millions of people do exactly what we are going to be doing tomorrow. Take to the streets, take to the ballot boxes. We can beat them, because at the end of the day, there are a lot more of us than there are of them. But unless every person in this room and millions more pledges to get heavily involved in this issue and in the political process in general, their money will win. They got the money, we got the people. Can we educate? Can we organize? Can we bring our people together to transform the energy system and make government work for all of us? That is the issue of the moment. Let's work together to make that happen. Thank you all very much.
Senator, before we go down the row and hear from the rest of the panelists, if I could ask you one follow-up question. With Congress, with the House of Representatives certainly to be Republican for at least the next 2 years, and you don't know about the Senate yet, is Congress completely out of the picture for years to come for doing anything about global warming? And if so, despite whatever bills that you and others who agree with you may introduce, does the policy action have to be elsewhere? And if so, where?
Well, clearly there are opportunities at the state level, but I believe very much that Congress will listen when millions of people demand that they listen. I really do believe that. So you're right in saying right now you got a Republican Congress owned by the big money interests. But I think if we continue to build on what we are seeing right here in New York City today, yes, we can make them an offer that they can't refuse. And that is, they're not going to stay in Congress unless they start changing what they're doing.
Thank you.